Today, I'll be talking about one of the trends in banking, which is consolidation and merger. So, over the past few decades, we've seen smaller banks merge with larger banks through consolidation, like JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, and Citibank. They all have grown in the past decade with consolidation. So, these mergers have led to record profit for banks. But the question is that really good for customers? On the positive side, mergers can make banking more efficient and more convenient for customers. When banks combine, customers often gain access to wider services in one place. So, for example, your checking, savings, loans, mortgages, CDs, you can use an app to do many of those things instead of juggling to multiple banks. People can manage their finances in one area, making it easier. So, also, merger also expands the reach of banks. A customer can use their banks in more locations across more states and sometimes even internationally. So, for the banks themselves, consolidation can reduce expenses by eliminating duplicate branches and systems. So, in theory, those savings could be passed down to customers. The problem with that is that mergers don't always benefit the customers. When fewer banks control the market, competition decreases. That means that um, bank can set higher prices, lower rates, and lower rates on savings and raise borrowing costs. Publicly traded company, just remember their focus is to maximize profit for shareholders. So this not necessarily an offering the best deal for customers. So a clear example of this would be Wells Fargo, which was fined in 2022 $3.7 billion for widespread abusive practices, including mismanagement of auto loans, wrongful foreclosures, and charging surprise overdraft fees. This shows how large, when unchecked, can harm millions of customers all at once. So, another concern with big banks is that they can dominate the market, making it impossible for smaller banks to compete, making it have less competition. So, for instance, remember just recently, the Capital One Discovery merger, they reshaped the credit card industry, creating a massive institution with over 400 million cardholders. When giants like this merge, new banks struggle to enter the market and customers lose choices. Another thing that we have to think about is the risk for economy. Large banks are deeply tied to the economy. So their regulatory structure is very complex that if they fall, the consequences is ripped across the financial system. It creates a ripple effect. So we saw this during the 2008 crisis, housing crisis, when risky mortgages practices by big banks triggered a global recession. So the government had to step in with a bailout, as we remember, to prevent the total collapse. This raises a critical issue. When banks become too big to fail, taxpayers often end up footing for the bill to save them. That's not fair, and it's dangerous for long-term economic stability. So, should the government monitor mergers? Absolutely, for sure. They need to do a better job with monitoring mergers. So, oversight ensures that banks don't abuse their power, so that customers are protected and the economy isn't put at risk for unchecked consolidation. So, without regulation, bank could prioritize profits over people, leaving customers with fewer choices and higher costs. So banks, it's a double-edged sword. There's positives and there's negatives. They can make banking more convenient and easy for customers, but they also reduce competition, raise risks, and sometimes harm customers. So that's why government monitoring is essential to strike the balance between the efficiency and fairness and to protect both customers and economy. So that's all I have.